Welcome to the Guide, Not Guru podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Brock. My purpose is to empower women to create authentic, aligned, and abundant lives. After over a decade of mentoring women in business and self-leadership, I found that we don't need to adopt a guru's blueprint. We need guides to help us build our own. So if you're ready to lead and be a work in progress, you've come to the right place. Hey friends, today I want to talk to you about how to create a miracle-filled life in moments. If you were to ask me 2.5 years ago, 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago, if I would be here, if I would be a woman who has built a $1 million business, a woman who is being totally herself, who's married to the love of her life, that their relationship has changed, that she's showing up as the woman she wants to be, that she's led retreats on private islands, that she's meeting with spiritual leaders and thought leaders and traveling the world and living in such abundance and joy and authentic happiness, I would be like, oh my God, that would be a miracle. It would be a freaking miracle. How in the world could that even be possible? And yet it's my reality. And so I want to talk to you about how we can actually tangibly walk into a miracle-filled life. And that, the miracles are in the future and they are a part of something that you're building, but you can start to experience miracles right now. And I'm going to teach you some of the fundamental shifts that change the way that I see the world. And that's the first and most important thing to understand is, we don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. So based on, where you were born, to what set of parents, to what community and culture and whatever, it determines how you see the world. And so not everyone is experiencing the exact same world. One world does not exist. We all are experiencing our own internal worlds. We can look at the same exact thing and feel different things about it. And so when we start to think about the lives that we want and how to do that, it's why this is so internal. And I want to teach you what a miracle is. So one of my favorite books is A Return to Love. And Marianne Williamson talks about how a miracle is actually a shift in perspective. So, when this started for me, this real self-awareness, changing myself, changing the way I see the world kind of journey, one of the things that sticks out to me most dramatically was my relationship with my husband. I freaking love him. And we are opposites attract. And he drove me nuts at times. And I was just like, why don't you understand what I'm saying? We would just butt heads because we couldn't see each other's point of view. And I kept waiting for him to change, waiting for him to change, waiting for him to change, waiting for him to change so that I could get the life that I wanted. And I started to pray for miracles. And what ends up happening when you start to pray for a miracle is the circumstances don't change necessarily. Sometimes they do. Sometimes true miracles, manifestations, rapid healing, things drop out of the sky. I actually live in a reality where that actually happens now. But in the beginning for me, I was praying please God, give me a miracle. I'm so tired of fighting these battles with him, with life, with whatever it was. And I started to pray for a miracle. I need a miracle. I need something that is outside of my control. To me, a miracle is just something that is beyond my capability. I need a miracle. I need supernatural freaking support to make this thing real in my life. It would be a miracle if I was healed from anxiety and depression. It would be a miracle if my relationship changed. It would be a miracle if my kids, were able to heal in these ways. It's outside of my control. It's beyond my capability to make it happen. So let me go back to what I just shared. So a miracle, often it doesn't necessarily change the circumstances, but it changes you for the circumstances. I'm going to let that marinate. I'm going to say it again. Often when we pray for a miracle, it doesn't change the circumstances. It changes us for the circumstances. So what started happening in me was I was praying for a miracle. Change, change, change. Please change my circumstances. And what ended up happening was I changed my perspective and I saw things differently. So let me give you an example. My husband, if you've been following me for a while, bless your heart, you know this story, but this was like such a turning point moment for me. And it's so trivial and silly and small, but it was big at the time. And if you are a woman who is married or been in any kind of committed relationship, you understand what it's like to be married with someone who does something that drives you crazy. And you're just like, why do you hate me? Why won't you just listen to what I'm saying? I'm telling you what I need to feel more loved, and you're not doing it. So my husband is someone who would cook eggs every single day. He cooks them at a level of temperature that the pan burns. And I guess he likes them really crispy. And so after he would cook his eggs, he would let the pan sit and soak. If you can see me on camera, I'm using quotation marks. He would let it soak all day. And I worked from home and he went to work every single day. So all day long, I would see this damn pan all day. I'm just like, why does he hate me? It's sitting here all day and I have to look at the pan, and then I bet he expects me to wash the pan because I'm home all day and he just thinks I can do the chores and blah, blah, blah. Like, I made some story. So what was happening was I was having an emotional experience with this pan, meaning he doesn't love me. He doesn't care about me. Oh, he thinks I'm going to do all these things at home. So all day long, I'm waiting for 5 p.m. and I am revving up with frustration to get on him about this pan again. So I started praying for a miracle, not about the pan. I was praying just for a miracle in my life, because at that point in time where I started to really have this journey of like, I'm anxious, I'm depressed, I am unwell, help me, God. I was just like, I need a miracle. Please bring me anything and I'll change, I'll grow. Bring me the signs, direct me. I just was so desperate for help because I didn't understand how I'd gotten here. So I didn't know how to get myself out. So I was praying for revelation. I was praying for a miracle. Well, one of the things that I started to do was I started to imagine, what would this best version of myself look like? And I was like, if I was to show up as the best version of myself, who would she be? And I started to write down like what my life would look like and how I would live and how I would speak and how I would feel and all of these things. And I ended up writing 10 affirmations that I said every single morning to myself. Got up in the morning, read these affirmations, and one of my affirmations was, I'm an intentional and exceptional wife. And so I asked for a miracle. And what ended up happening was, through a little higher self exercise, I ended up saying, I'm an intentional, exceptional wife. And then I would ask myself, and how will I show up as her today? And I would close my eyes and I would just say, like, how can I be an intentional, exceptional wife today? And I was like, oh no. No. No, she washes the pan for him. The intentional, exceptional, best version of me. She sees the pan and goes, I have a husband. Look how lucky I am. I love him so much. I'm going to wash his pan for him so when he comes home from work, he doesn't have to think about it. And this self-righteous, cannot lose version of me was so upset about this. I was just like, no, but then he wins. Then he's going to think that I'm always going to wash the pan. And I was just so frustrated. I felt like such a victim of my circumstances. I was like, I could be happy if he would just do these things for me. And we were in love, but these little things would just steal my energy. They would steal my joy. And so I realized I was praying for a miracle, and what ended up happening was I looked at the exact same pan and decided to have a different experience with it. I decided to have a different perspective. I decided the miracle mind in me to look at this pan would be to see it as a gift. to see it as a rep that I could make to love my man well, to see it as like, this is you loving and being intentional to him. And so I started to wash this pan. And you guys, I didn't wash it like, like I didn't wash it mad and angry. Maybe the first time I did. Maybe I did. I was just like, this is so annoying. I'm sure I was dragging my feet because I wanted to win. But instead, I eventually, I'm sure, shifted into washing it with love. Feeling the gift of how blessed I am. That not only do I have a husband who is gone all day and working and providing for our family, but he eats eggs and he loves it and it makes him happy and he eats well, and how lucky I am. He's such a good dad. And I started to wash this pan with gratitude, feeling so grateful for him. And this may seem so silly, but what ends up happening was I ended up starting to feel so much love towards him. I started to act different in lots of ways. He would come in the door and I'd be like, I've been thinking about you all day. How are you? And we started to have less fights. And he started to see that I was doing these acts of kindness and love towards him. And he started to do them for me too. He'd come in and be like, hey, I know you worked really hard. Like, do you want me to take the kids tonight? And I'd be like, oh, that is a freaking miracle. I never thought in my life that he would do that. You guys, I used to be the mom who was like standing up, eating my breakfast while I'm feeding the kids, tying the shoelaces, all the things, and he was sitting on the couch watching SportsCenter, drinking a cup of coffee. And I remember being in such pain about that. And I joke about this because it was not even his fault, you guys. Like, I was so mad that he got to sit on the couch and drink a cup of hot coffee while I'm over here doing all the things, but I never asked for help. I never asked for help. So I was just over there just like flaming. So my point in this was I asked for a miracle, and what changed was in me. I decided to see that I had an opportunity to love him well. Going back to the kitchen and eating a cup of coffee, I started to see that, wow, Kelly, I asked for a miracle. How can I see this differently? How can I be different for this situation? Well, Kelly, you're not even asking for what you want. How can he know how to love you if you're not communicating? So I started to ask for what I wanted. Like, hey, could you tie the kids' shoes while I get dressed or while I'm sitting here and having this cup of coffee? I started to change. And so there are a couple of steps that I want to give you all, because I watched these little miracle moments shift my entire life. What we don't understand is the power of one moment at a time and the ripple effect of making great choices, great, aligned, energetically sound choices back to back to back. So I started to get clear on this version of myself that I wanted to be. And I did my best to do two major things. If you have a notepad, write this down. You will probably hear me say this a bajillion times because it is the way I live my life. We change our lives. We shift the energy and everything through our intention and attention. Through our intention and attention. So every single day, I started to wake up before my family and I started to intend on being a miracle-filled woman, being a woman that changes, that shows up as the best version of herself. I was intending it. Then I started to pay attention to the moments that I would be able to show up as her. So with my attention, I started to not only, mentally rehearse the versions of myself that I could be to be this woman, to rep her out, as I like to say it. But I also started to pay attention to the moments that it worked. I started to see the miracles in my life. I started every single night journaling on how did I show up as her? What good happened today? Where did I lean in and light up? I started to journal these things and started to literally document with my attention the good that was happening in my life. And so what's powerful for you to understand is, for me, I was waiting for him to change, them to change, the business to change, the circumstances to change, the economy to change, the kids to grow up. I was constantly waiting for something outside of me to change so I could finally be happy, joyful, abundant, peaceful, present, all the things that I wanted to be. I was waiting. And I want you to hear me when I say this. If you are waiting for something to change that's outside of you so you can have what you want, you are called a victim. You are being a victim. You're a victim of your circumstances. It's called victim consciousness. I was in such an emotional state of victimhood. And I wouldn't have said that at the time. I'm just like, absolutely not. I'm a powerful woman. I get what I want. I can change my life. I didn't realize how in so many ways I was relying on something outside of me to change so that I could be happy. And so I started to realize that, our lives change not in tomorrow, but in now. One moment at a time. And I started to say, how can I just win the moment that I'm in? How can I just win this moment? So there would be, things that would come up in my business, and I would feel so nervous to be authentic. And I would just be like, Kelly, just win this moment. You don't have to promise to be brave and authentic always, just this moment. Or when I would go to, let's say I had a health goal, one of the affirmations that I was saying to myself was that I eat foods that I love to eat foods that love me back, because I was really wanting to work on changing my diet. And I remember so I would mean it in the morning. I meant it. I intended it. I love food that loves me back. And then at night, I'd be like, well, I'm feeling like a little cookie and some Prosecco. I had a default that was already this version of me that was just like, and I would always lose all of my goals because I would be like, I'll start tomorrow. Today's been a long day. Just one glass and one cookie tonight, or, just the chips tonight, or whatever it was, just tonight, I'll start tomorrow. So I was constantly putting off for tomorrow what I needed to do today, what I needed to do right now. So I finally said, Kel, at what point are you going to say now is the moment? There's just always this other condition that shows up that says tomorrow. So I started to say, let me just win the moment that I'm in. So I'd go to get the cookie and the Prosecco, and I would just be like, just win this moment. We don't have to guarantee the next moments, because I'm naturally an all or nothing person. So as soon as I commit to something, I'm like, but then I won't do it for forever. And I got to really be ready to never eat a cookie again. I would get so dramatic in my mind. I don't know if you all are like that, but I was. And so I'd be like, I have to really be ready. And I was just like, if I change my mind later, I can't worry about tomorrow, but for right now, no cookie, Kel. No Prosecco. No yelling at the kids now. Be patient now. Be loving now. Be committed to your goals now. Eat the healthy apple now. So I would just say, just for now, win this moment that I'm in. Our life arrives to us in a now. The past is over. The present is not even here. All of the next moment that you're even praying for, they arrive in a now. So it's only if we start to understand that now is when we can change our lives. And so I started to just say, how can I win the moments that I'm in? Okay, how can I win the moments that I'm in? And I started to stack these reps. I'm each day just trying a little bit better. I didn't worry about the ones that I blew it, because there would be times that I would just totally blow it. In all those areas, I was not intentional. I was not showing up as the most authentic me. I was not being a patient and loving and intentional mom. I had to let those go and say, but I'm in this moment now. And what will I do now? Let me win this moment that I'm in. And so I started to really posture myself to just saying one moment at a time. And what ends up happening, I want you to imagine that you're a boat and you were headed in one direction. And every time you make a choice that's in agreement, you're still headed that direction. But every time that you win one moment, it's like, dink, it goes the other way, dink, the other way, other way, other way, other way, other way. So every little moment that you win, it actually does compound. It started to change the trajectory of my life. It started to open me up. Let's stay with the boat analogy. Imagining that boat starts to turn to the left. Then you make another good choice, to the left, to the left, to the left. Now, not only am I headed in another direction, I see an entirely different view of the world. I didn't see this over here. I was headed to the right. I was headed this other way that looked like dark skies and, clouds ahead and rocky water. And now I'm turned over here and it was like, oh, all I had to do was turn around. I had to take on the miracle of changing the moment I was in. When I started to win these moments, I not only opened myself up, you will not only open yourself up to a more joyful present moment, but you start to see more possibilities. All of a sudden, I was able to see that, maybe I don't always have to be this way. Maybe I won't always struggle. If I'm not struggling, what might I want? And then I started to look around. What do other people have that I think I would be excited about? It was like all of a sudden I saw a new future that was not possible when I kept committing to this old version. What we have to understand, our belief systems, our thoughts, our perspectives are self-fulfilling prophecies. Sticking with the example of my husband, and I talk about him a lot because the truth is, that is one of the greatest miracles that has happened in my life, is the relationship we have. You guys, at this moment in time of this recording, I'm going to have so much more to share. But because I changed me, because I stopped being a victim, because I stopped waiting for him to go first, for him to be the leader, for him to do the finances, for him to love me well, for him to give me space, for him to see me. Again, he's just one example. But because I stopped waiting and I changed me, when your inner world changes, your outer world shifts to meet it. It's just the way that it goes. So when I stopped being a victim and waiting for my conditions to work out for me, and I started saying, I want to be happy now. I want to be healthy now. I want to be a committed woman now. I want to start speaking authentically now. And I want to love him now. And I want to feel loved now. And I started repping out one moment at a time. It changed my entire world. Because I changed, my husband watched me change. Because he watched me change, there were less arguments. Then there was more compassion. Then there was more communication. Then there was a little bit more dreaming. Then there was a little bit more freedom. Then, and it changed the entire life. At this moment in time, it is almost 1 year since my husband walked away from his career and took a risk on himself and started to follow his own dreams. If he had not seen me follow my own dreams, if he had not watched what happened because I vibrated different, he would not be the person he is right now. You guys, my husband is probably one of the most spiritual, wonderful, impact-driven people. He is so passionate. He has read double the amount of books as me this last year. I dated him in high school, you guys, and I'm pretty sure he forged all his papers and never read a book and made it through high school. I think I've known him to read 2 books before this last year, and I bet he has read 20. He meditates and he is purpose-driven and he is loving and he's intentional and he is this, incredible father. And he went to the war in Ukraine this last year and went to rescue orphans and has started a nonprofit and is doing his own business and has learned 4 different skill sets this last year. You guys, I'm telling you, I still feel in awe of the miracle of what has happened. I'm just I watch him, I listen to him. I don't know if you guys can hear my voice. I know if you're watching the video, you'll see. I am in awe. I couldn't have imagined this man. I lived with a man who was so content. He has a tattoo on his wrist that says simple. He was I'm just simple. I don't need a lot, Kelly. You need so much. I don't need so much. I don't want more. Where I am is good enough. This is fine. I work to get a paycheck. I remember he would be like, your work is your life. And I was like, I feel like that's how it's supposed to be. Like, my work is my life. It is my love and my purpose expressed. And he would be like, that's not how I see the world. Like, he was just like, no, it's not. You're supposed to get a paycheck and you come home, and this is where our real lives are when we're with our family. And now he sees every moment of his day as his life, as his purpose, as his work. It's just a miracle. At some point, I'm going to have to bring him on, honestly, to like have a dialogue around it, because we sit in gratitude every single day, you guys. We sit and we reflect on, like, can you even believe where we are? He has thanked me so many times. He's been like, thank you. Thank you for everything you did. You know, the other day I was in the kitchen talking to him and he was telling me about something and I was smiling. He was like, why are you smiling? And I was like, Josh, you've stepped into these things, these principles about mindfulness and love and purpose and, you know, helping yourself, like, and personal growth and self-awareness. I said, you've stepped into these things so fast and they took me so long to get. And he was like, I have to thank you for that. He was like, babe, if you had not gone first, if I didn't see it in you, I wouldn't trust this. He said, and I probably wouldn't trust someone else either. He was like, so not trusting. He was like, I feel like I accelerated faster because I saw it in you. I could trust it quicker. Y'all, that I could not have imagined. Why I'm telling you this is because you have no idea the miracles that you will experience right now and in the future, because you learn to be a woman who opens herself up to a miracle, which is a shift in perspective. How can I be in this moment differently? Truth be told, I have wanted to have this podcast for 2.5 years, or at least I've been thinking about it. And I do follow my intuition. I know when timing is right, and this was the right time. So I knew it was the right time now. But even as I started to come to this moment, I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. To the old version of me, which like revs up, which is a hyperachiever and a people pleaser. And I was feeling so nervous. And that was my perspective. That's how I was feeling this. I was resisting it and avoiding it and just like overwhelmed. That was my experience about this now moment of even having a podcast. And then I did what I'm about to tell you. I brought myself to a couple of mantras that serve me, because when we shift our perspective, we shift our experience. The same exact thing, the same podcast that was just stressing me out and making me feel a little overwhelmed and making me feel like tomorrow I'll be more ready. I said, what would love do? That was the first question. What would love do? It's one of my favorite mantras to fall on when I'm just like overwhelmed and feeling insecure and just like, I don't know if I can do this. And I'm like, okay, what would love do? Another mantra I called on literally today and was showing up to this moment. I asked myself, how would she show up here? She, her, meaning the version of myself I want to be, this best version. I'm like, how would she show up here? And I calmed my spirit and I imagined being with her and what she would say to me about this moment. I shifted my perspective. She was like, why are you worried? You literally do this every day for a living. This is just a new platform. Bring your authenticity. It's your superpower. Be yourself. That's what counts. She started to say to me, I was able to experience new energy in the same exact circumstances. And so I'm able to show up in this moment. I don't have notes. I'm speaking to you all. I'm speaking from my heart. I'm being myself, and I could have shown up very differently. And so other mantras that I call upon when I'm like needing it, when I'm feeling overwhelmed and stressed. And when I feel stressed, it's almost like a camera. Everything zooms in and I can't see the world outside of this moment. I get overwhelmed and I, feel overcome, and then I'm like raging in some way. So I often will pause and I'll just say, okay, I need to practice my peace. Let me practice my peace. and I'll ask myself what I need. What would I got to practice my piece? What would I need right now? Or I will literally, like, it's so funny. I like look up at the sky and around me. I'm like, I need a miracle. I need a miracle. God, I need a miracle. Make me a miracle. And sometimes the next thought that will come in my head, which is you need to go on a walk or go meditate or take a minute. And I will give myself the space so the miracle perspective can arrive in me. So I can ask myself a better question. But when we think about stepping into a miracle-filled life, we have to start to learn to win the moments that we're in. Let me win it now, even if just for a moment. I can't promise forever, but I can win this moment that I'm in. Every moment we are given a clean slate to make a new future. And the only way that new future becomes a reality, the only way it gets to arrive to us is in these now moments that we start showing up as the person that we want to be, that we want to show up as. So I know that was one big part. I want to give you one last really, really, really valuable tip to start to have miracle moments in your life every single day and to start honestly seeing the miracles around you. The truth is, I see miracles everywhere. I see them in my clients. I see them in my life. I watch again, think of yourself as the boat. I see moments where it's like, there's no chance this person is definitely taking their boat off the edge of the world, the flat world that doesn't actually exist, like off a cliff, that they're going that way. And then I will watch them pivot into a miracle perspective and change course. That's a miracle. By no other force, they were able to receive a shift that took them in a totally different direction, that changes their life and at least their experience of right now. So the other thing that has helped me and that I hope serves you too is I not only start to intend on a miracle. I told you two things, intend and attend. Intention, attention. So I not only start to intend on having a miracle-filled day, a day that I freaking love, that makes me excited, where I show up as her, I also start to pay attention to the miracles that have already manifested in my life. I journal gratitudes and I write down the miracles that exist because I want to pay attention to the fact that miracles exist. I will see my husband reading a book. I'm like, that's a miracle. I will see my daughter be patient and kind to her brother and use new words to speak to him when the other day she was, shouting because she didn't know how to communicate clearly what she was feeling. I'm like, that is a miracle. I will see money come into my account that I wasn't expecting. I'm like, miracle. I will see forgiveness in my relationship with family or friends or people in my life. I'm like, that's a miracle. I will see the way that I feel about myself or my body or my self-worth. I will literally be like, Kelly, a former version of you would have ripped yourself apart. I'm so proud of the way that you just spoke kindly to yourself and gave yourself compassion. That is a miracle. So I invite you to start paying attention. Start documenting the little miracle moments that are already in your life now. And you can pin this practice to the beginning of your day or the end of the day. I really recommend pinning it, making it a peace practice of yours to start doing it every single day. What miracles did I witness today? Or what miracles have already manifested in my life? Y'all, right now, I'm in a miracle. I am in a dream that is now my life. I have a podcast. I've been thinking about this for 2.5 years. This moment could pass me so casually if I let it. But instead, I'm saying, oh my gosh, Kel, you did it. The camera that I'm filming on, I looked at this camera and I was like, gosh, it'd be so cool to have a camera like that and be professional in my business one day. It's here. You have miracles all around you. The car you drive, the house you're in, the babies that you prayed for, the business that you've built. Gosh, some of the greatest challenges that I'm experiencing, I'm like, these are success problems. Thank you. That is a miracle that I'm not having scarcity problems. I'm having success, growth, scaling problems. What a gift. Miracles are everywhere. So because I have postured myself with a perspective to see miracles, I see them everywhere. And I see them now even beyond the perspective shifts. I literally see the magic that unfolds. I watch and experience so many things that are unpredictable. They make no sense. They are illogical. That's what I'm trying to say. They are divine. But I guarantee those things were happening around me before. I just didn't have the eyes for it. I didn't know how to put on the lenses, the perspective of a miracle-filled life. So I'm inviting you all into a practice, even if just for this week. And oh my gosh, please tag me when you take time to do this. I want you to set an intention every single morning to be a miracle-filled woman. Ask yourself questions like, what would love do? How would I show up as her? Invite in the miracle, pray for a miracle, and then start to pay attention. Start to document, journal, write, document pictures. Tag me in all your miracles made manifest, those things that are real in your life. I guarantee you will start to see the same world that you're living in totally different. And you're just like, wow, how did I not see? And thank you. Thank you that my eyes have changed. You know, I have a program called Conscious Leader. It's my mastermind. And we have this saying that's eyes up, eyes up. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see how I need to change. Let me see the opportunities to grow. Let me see what is here for me that I wasn't already seeing. And when you start to see it, when you have your awareness, that intention and attention to it, I guarantee you will start to feel like you're having a miracle-filled moment, day, week, month, life, business, expansion, relationship. Everything changes when you start to win the moments that you're in. So tag me. I want to see all of your miracle moments. I'm so excited. Can't wait to celebrate them with you. Hey friend, thank you for listening. My goal is to empower as many women as possible. If this episode supported you in any way, I would love it if you'd leave me a review or let me know on Instagram. You can take a screenshot or tag me or just shoot me a DM. If you're looking for any kind of additional support, don't hesitate to reach out. See you here next Tuesday.